Welcome back to the show. Today we're navigating global conflict for investment and legacy, examining the business of war investing.
Ladies and gentlemen, the King of Kings is in the house. Warriors, take your positions, and let's get ready to prosper.
It's unfortunate, but it is true. War is a business, and the goal of any business activity is to make money. Let's talk about it. Welcome to Kingdoms, Wealth, and Wisdom. I'm Nathan Weaver, founder and executive director of Petra Worldwide. We are a national accounting, tax, and real estate firm. Stay right there. You don't want to miss this. Operation Desert Storm serves as a classic example of war as a business. During that conflict, the U.S. government relied heavily on prime defense contractors to support initiatives in technology, logistics, and other services that were key to the campaign. Based on the prime contracts that were awarded, there were several U.S. companies, publicly traded U.S. companies, I might add, that did very well during the conflict. I'll give you a couple of those by name just so you can do some historical research and look some of these up. The first one, current stock symbol is BA, which is Boeing. Boeing acquired or succeeded McDonnell Douglas. Many of you will recognize the name of McDonnell Douglas. The next one that I'll mention is RTX. RTX is RTX Corporation, formerly known as Raytheon. Raytheon was also a player during that time. The last one that I'll mention, stock symbol GD, General Dynamics. All of these companies receive significant prime contractor awards as defense contractors doing Operation Desert Storm. But here's what's really interesting. While all of these companies did very well, the companies that did the best were companies that were part of reconstruction. After every war conflict, there's certainly a rebuilding, a reconstruction phase that must be moved into. The company that did very well, U.S. publicly traded company, HAL. Some of you may recognize HAL as Halliburton. Halliburton was one of the leading companies in the reconstruction bonus spending. By the summer, July of 1992, Kuwait had spent upwards of $4 billion in reconstruction. And this illustrates the fact that war is a business, and there's a lot of money to be made. And if you position yourself and you think about what's going to happen, when it's going to happen, no one has a crystal ball, no one can predict, but you should pay attention and respond accordingly. I'm going to bring this into current day reality for you. Let's talk about some of the current conflicts and what that may or may not look like for you. Let's talk about the global positioning of bold moves made by the U.S. We all have seen, if you're paying attention at all, what happened in Venezuela. We've seen the capture of Maduro. We saw the lead up to the capture of Maduro, starting with the executing or the killing of drug running boats that were coming across the Gulf. So we saw kind of a lead up and a build up to the Venezuela situation. We also see a similar building of an armada off of Iran. We see that currently we're moving a lot of warships, a lot of support and materials close to Iran for a potential conflict. Everyone also knows about the strategic interest the U.S. has in the territory of Greenland. If you think about these conflicts, these potential conflicts, if you think about what happened in Venezuela and start to unpack it, the economic opportunity becomes really clear. So let's take Venezuela as a case study and look closer at some of the details, because the people that were paying attention to the escalation made investment plays that paid off for them significantly. And what were those? What were those investment plays that were made? So the investors that were watching that strategic buildup in the escalation leading up to Maduro's capture certainly are the same people that invested in Chevron. And why Chevron? You know, Chevron, post Maduro capture, Chevron saw an increase in their stock price of 5.1%. Well, obviously, people anticipated that might be a reality. But why is that a reality? Why was that anticipation there? Partly because the profit outlook was really high for Chevron, because Chevron has an existing infrastructure with an expectation post Maduro that exports are going to triple in volume. Other companies, secondary players, didn't see as much of an increase in their stock value as Chevron. ExxonMobil at 2.2%, ConocoPhillips at 2.6%. But again, if you bought into the stock prior to the Maduro event, you would have experienced the gains that were recognized by these producers. And it's interesting because while these companies have done well, Chevron is expected to continue to do well. ExxonMobil, as well as ConocoPhillips, I'm sure will continue to do well for different reasons. The advantage, or here's the wisdom part that you need to consider is, let's look beyond the oil producers. Who else will do well in the Venezuela case study? Well, think about the service providers. Again, we saw the name Halliburton come up earlier when I talked about the conflict and the Gulf War, the Operation Desert Storm. Halliburton is still a strategic player. Halliburton, as an oil services firm, they are part of a group of companies that will manage the maintenance of the infrastructure. Someone has to make sure all of the infrastructure is well taken care of. The pipelines, the process of being able to move that much material. That's where these oil service companies will play a tremendous part. And some of them will see more than a 10% gain is the projection or the prediction based on their ability to support, improve, and help manage the infrastructure. So there's still a lot of upside opportunity for investors that are paying attention and they're looking at the long-term play here. Now, for these service companies, these oil service companies, they're not the Chevrons of the world. They're not ExxonMobil's. They're not the people moving the oil, reselling. In their environment, for them, it doesn't matter what oil prices do, because even if oil prices don't increase, the infrastructure of moving the raw material and the refinement, all of that infrastructure still is necessary. Whether oil prices go up or go down, to some level, it can be irrelevant to oil service companies that are managing and caring for the infrastructure. So that creates a very high outlook, profit outlook for companies like Halliburton as they get into the meat of managing the infrastructure. So there's some lessons in here. The number one lesson in this is, the business of war, the service sector normally outperforms the producers. And this is what's illustrated here, where you've got the Chevrons and the Exxon Mobils of the world, but you've also got kind of the service teams, if you will. And so historically, I just mentioned, we saw Chevron stock go up 5.1%, but the expectation for Halliburton and other firms that are servicing the equipment and the infrastructure, they could see as much as 10% elevation. And if you're paying attention, you'll see that Halliburton stock symbol is HAL. And a lot of people will say, you know what, that's all great. I hear you. I see the opportunity, but I don't have thousands of dollars to just go invest in Chevron or ExxonMobil or Halliburton. And you know what? That's certainly okay. And that's part of the tip here. The tip and the wisdom, part of what we provide here at King Life. King Life is Petro Worldwide signature product. Part of what we provide is exactly this: insight, wisdom, tips that may take you a little bit further than what you thought on the surface. So pay attention here, because this part is really important. Your entry, how do you get into this? If you are not a person that you've got tens of thousands of dollars where you can go buy blocks of stock in $1,000, $2,000 increments, you still have an entry point. Those entry points here are ETFs. ETFs are exchange traded funds. They are actually investments, funds of basket of investment funds that trade like stocks. And most of your big brokerage houses all have them, whether it's Fidelity, Vanguard, Schwab, they all have your ability or open the door for you to have an ability to be able to buy an ETF and trade in industry specific stocks. And so this is where the homework comes in. There are a number of ETFs that are available to you to research and consider adding to your portfolio as it relates to war as a business. So take a look at what's available to you because, when you look at, okay, what is an ETF? Some of you have heard this term. It's all over the internet, lots of videos about it. But now is the opportunity to really take it to the next step, take a deeper look and start your investing. Because whether you're investing $20, $200, or $200,000, it matters. It's significant and it's one step closer to your direction, whether your direction be accumulate wealth, pay off debt, or continue to build on an existing legacy. It's one step closer in that direction. So ETFs make for a great entry point to be able to capitalize in markets where you may not have had the ability to capitalize independently on your own. Again, it's a basket of assets that trade like stocks on the market every single day. The benefits, huge benefits, the diversification, lower cost, flexibility. All of those are important, especially depending on where you are in your level of investment. Again, availability of ETFs, check with, if you don't have a brokerage house, there are lots of online do-it-yourself available programs. I use Fidelity. Fidelity is my personal go-to. I like their platform. I enjoy their user interface. Their system is easy to use and understand. I know other people feel as strongly about Vanguard and Schwab. Whatever works for you, take a look at the opportunity and then drill down, do a little bit of research to see what may work for you in terms of actual fund of ETF or industry you'd like to invest in and what that looks like for you.
In closing, the takeaway is this. Pay attention. Pay attention and be prepared to do some homework and some analysis. Pay attention to the situation in Iran. Watch the armada that's building. Lots of U.S. warships there. Pay attention to the conversations about Greenland and the potential acquisition of that territory. While none of us want war, none of us want conflict, there is still an opportunity, an economic opportunity to invest wisely as you predict based on your analysis. None of us have a crystal ball. None of us can see exactly what's going to happen, when it's going to happen. But we get a reasonable expectation based on current events. And so as you think about your legacy and building upon the wisdom that you gained here and through your own research, consider joining us at King Life. Join us at kinglife.org. King Life is Petra Worldwide's signature product. What we do at Petra Worldwide is we provide you with personalized guidance. We give you priority consulting, and we involve you with a group of people that can help you move to your goal, whether your goal is continuing to build your legacy, or if your goal is to pay off debt, get your taxes in a better state. Whatever your goals are, we are equipped and positioned to help you with that. So enroll at kinglife.org. Like, share, subscribe. We look forward to growing with you. We look forward to seeing you soon.